Hi, everybody. Mittierim here again, and we're bringing a very small invitation-only paintisode tonight. The last few events have gotten, frankly, a little overwhelming. I think there was, 10 people on the one Whoopi did last night. So I've sent out a few small invites to some folks I don't get to chat with used to. I don't know if any of them will respond. If they don't, then you still have me and Skip and my wife Alicia, and we'll do some painting and talk about some stuff and just fill up some space. Does that sound good for everybody?
Well, I'll fill up space. You guys do the painting since I don't have any paints with me.
Okay. So I am. I guess we'll, since you're just going to be our eye candy here, Skip. Alicia and I can tell whoever might be watching this what we're working on tonight.
Yep.
So what's on your plate tonight, sweetie?
Two cold ones and the 5 night bodies that for the cold one nights I'm working on. I'm getting real close to being done with them.
Mhm.
Hoping to get done with them tonight.
That'll be good. And that's all you've got left for Nicholas Blaird's commission, isn't it?
Yes, name dropper.
Well, it's good to know who you're working on. And I am actually going to be trying something a little new. I'm working on a chimera tonight. And since the Warriors of Chaos is I'm using to try and develop my painting skills, I usually ask Alicia a lot of questions, and so what it's done, I think, is I don't think I'm necessarily getting any better at anything other than just following orders. So what I'm going to try and do on this particular model is kind of do it myself without getting any help from her and see how it turns out. And she'll probably tear me a new one and tell me what I should have done, and then I'll go back from the beginning and and start it all over. But this will at least give me a chance to see what I can do when left to my own devices.
God help that poor, poor chimera.
I love you, dear. But it's so it's been a pretty busy week in the Warhammer YouTuber community between the crazy number of paintisodes that have been getting done and the whole BTP thing going on. So I figure we're just going to kind of chill and talk about random stuff. So I know both Skip and I are working on new armies. Me, the Warriors of Chaos, and him, the Dwarves, although you're still working on like getting all of that Tomb King stuff painted.
Yep.
Aren't you?
And, yeah, and the last part of my peasants for my Bretonian army.
How many of those you got left?
I think last count, I think I'm down to 16.
That's not bad.
No. Mm-mm.
So you're working on obviously 3 different armies. I'm working on at least one with some chance to grow 2. Do you have any ideas what sort of your next steps as far as what you're going to be getting and or working on in the coming weeks, months, whatever?
Probably I'll switch over and try to do some Dark Elves myself. I have some Dark Shards I want to put together and paint. So I think once I get done, and I still have about 10 Knights of the Realm to do too, and then that would actually finish out what I've got for Bretonia. So I may put Bretonia up first and just do the entire sweep and get that all finished first.
So, question, and I was curious about this. I know you were kind of just getting knights as you were getting them,
Mhm.
and using whatever you put together in your lists. Is there any difference into how your Bretonian knights are set up, whether they're Knights of the Realm or Knights Errant, anything like that? Is there any actual difference in the models or in the paint schemes or anything that you're doing for them?
Yeah, I've got some older knights that I'm going to use actually once I get them all painted as the knights errant. Um, so right now I'm doing a mixture, but as soon as I get everything painted, then that particular unit's just going to be my knights errant, and that's usually where I put my profit is. Just in case she blows up, then it's cheap knights she's blowing up, not just knights of the realm. Um,
Right.
and then I've got a set of like 8 Grail Knights that were already painted for me, so I don't have to do any Grail Knights. But they are, specific to their own. They definitely show the cup and everything like that. So,
Oh, so you
um,
actually have the real like $1 billion for 5 Grail model or Grail Knight models?
yes,
Awesome. I've
yep.
actually heard they come with. Did you buy them new or did you get them off of uh,
eBay.
eBay? Thank you.
Yeah, I got those off at eBay.
Okay, because I've heard that the kit comes with just a ridiculous number of uh, uh
Decals?
no, not decals, extra bits, swords, and whatever, uh, and all that sort of thing. So you can actually make, like, if you have normal knight bodies, you can actually make and a variety of knights with the leftover bits. It was either the Grail Knights or the Questing Knights that was the case of, and I don't remember which.
I don't either, but I can find out tomorrow. The game store where I am at now actually has a lot of the old Bretonia stuff. So I was going to stop by there tomorrow and take a look and see what they have.
Cool.
I know they have a bunch of Yetis.
Dude, I told you, if like even if it wasn't a money thing, because those Yeti kits are expensive, and right now I don't have a whole lot in the way of extra money to spend. Um, they're just, I mean, it's every three bodies having the same poses, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not like they're like you can easily change the pose on them because they're kind of set in how the arms have to attach and what have you. So it's like, I don't know, the repetition of it bugs me. And like I'm okay with having the 3 because each one's kind of a little individual,
Mm-hmm.
but like if I was going to get more than 3, I would want to field them in like a unit of 6 or something, and I don't know if I would like them all freaking looking identical. um,
Sometimes with stuff like just have to suck it up because I like the squig, and how many models do I have for them, and how many of them look the same? Most
yeah,
of them.
but on the other hand, you're fielding the squig. The squig are relatively small, and you're fielding them in these big, like what, you got 40 something models in that squig unit between the squigs and the dudes. Is that something like that?
If I paint up the other herders, I kind of got distracted from painting the rest of the herders. So yeah, it would be something around 40.
So, and they kind of all blend together and they look good as a group, but the problem is that the Yetis are so big that each individual definitely stands out from like the other side of the table.
Okay, well, what about my squig hoppers? If I actually manage to get any more of those, which I do want more of those, there's only 5 models. They look exactly the same.
Well, right, but they're usually killed so fast nobody will be able to tell the difference. They're just there and gone again.
Ha ha
And I mean that's I guess that's a valid point. I just, even with those, I think the size of them makes you a little bit easier to get get away with it, I guess would be the best term. And to be honest, your painting skills are enough where, with the right applications of paint and whatnot, you could make them look different and distinguishable if you wanted to.
Mm.
And I just, particularly with the Yetis, who don't really even have any accessories on them, they're basically just naked and white furry. So there's really, like, I wouldn't know how to go about differentiating them.
Are they totally naked with fur? Because I can't remember.
Yeah.
Green stuff, some cloth. Or, hell, grab some rocks from outside, like you did with your Nobbler guy. Put them on rocks. Change your elevation.
Yeah. Well, I had, like, the idea, and again, I think this was one of those situations where I was kind of thinking beyond my capabilities, because they talk about in the fluff of the Yetis that the tyrants, like, blow this big freaking horn, and the Yetis come, like, surfing down the mountain on an avalanche. And so I thought it would be kind of cool to, like, just make these, like, taller, for, like, as you go further into the back rank, the snow, like a snow base getting taller, so it kind of looks like they're all coming down one slope. But I'll be the first to admit I have no freaking clue how to do that.
Green stuff, some sunglasses on them. Throw up some horns.
Green stuff, some sunglasses? I'm not putting sunglasses on my
Come on, you could do like a green stuff surfboard. Come on, it'd be awesome.
Oh, hey, Nicholas.
Hey, how goes?
Not bad. How are you?
Pretty good.
So, I don't know that you've had the opportunity to meet my wife, Alicia, or Skip. This is Nicholas Belaert. He's the fellow who's on whose dime you're working at the moment.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, I saw your the video you were on with Whoopie Womp. Pretty nice stuff. Looks beautiful.
I'm glad you're happy with it so far. I'm going to take some really good pictures probably here in the next couple of days to send to you.
Sounds good.
So, other than the crazy YouTube comment wars we've been fighting the last couple days, what you been up to in the hobby, Nicholas?
I was actually just assembling some Doomfire Warlocks, and my wife kicked me out of that room so she could watch TV.
Nice. I really like those kits. Fires.
Yeah, I mean they're really nice, and you know they're pretty versatile.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny. So I've got a unit of them painted, and I'm doing a second unit, and I've been pretty much putting those in all my lists. But there's a tournament in February in Virginia that's using Swedish comp, and I put my list through it, and it's just no way. They pretty much made it so you can't take Doomfire Warlocks in Swedish comp.
Really?
That sucks.
Well, I mean you can, but your comp score
the hell out of you.
Yeah. So the tournament requires your list be rated between 8 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
And I put my normal draft list through, comes out at a 0.8 on their scale.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy.
Well, I posted that on the YouTube group, and Skaven and AZ said, "Don't feel bad. My list comes in at a -2."
Yeah. Well, and I think I saw that comment, and to be honest, that doesn't surprise me, because, I mean, Skaven and AZ is one of those kind of guys who goes in with shit kicker lists and goes to try and just crush and score first place. But I've seen like the battle reports you've done. I didn't necessarily see your list being that terrifying, frankly.
They're not. But this is the thing. What I think is that the Swedish comp also tries to penalize people from using like the same things that everybody else uses. So if something becomes really, really popular, they wind up giving it a higher penalty level, trying to force up, people to do different things.
Mm-hmm.
So the cav buses, especially with warlocks, I guess, just became so popular that they really just made it hard.
Right. So are they penalizing like number of units or number of dudes in units, or what is it that's like
both.
the no-no button there?
Both. Well, what they have is, the way it works is you start off with 300 points,
mm-hmm.
and then everything in your list goes through and it dings some points off that score. Like, okay, if you're going to take this many points off, etc., etc. And then at the end, when you're done, then you divide by 10, and that's your final score. So you're starting with 300, and you're dinging down. And the way it would work is like, they give you a penalty for having too many repeater crossbows in the like generic penalties. If there's every crossbow above 40 in your army, you take a point off. Every wound on cavalry above 25, you take a point off. And then it's like characters on dark steeds, you take points off. And when it comes to the warlocks, for a group of 5 or 6 warlocks, it's like minus 24 points.
Okay.
And then the second unit of warlocks would be the same thing and an additional 25 penalty.
Okay.
So they stack the penalties. So if you try to use the same things over and over again, and they break it down with like the numbers of troops. So if I were to take 30 executioners, it's minus 34 points. But if you drop that down to, say, 28 executioners or whatever, or 27 or something like that, then the penalty drops pretty precipitously. I think for like 25 you can get in there for 17 points. So you have to just play with the math.
So is the aim like to prevent big horde units, or
it's just to prevent you from using a lot of I guess what you would consider to be the best stuff. I mean, I'm not sure 100% what their rationale is, but it seems to be that they're trying to discourage people from using the net list, so to speak.
That sounds like our kind of tournament, Skip.
Yeah.
And then the way they do the comp is, let's say I had my list at an 8, and you have your list at a 14. When we get matched up, you take the difference and multiply it by 100. So when we're calculating the victory points at the end, you'd be 600 points up on me to start with. So it's like a handicap.
Hmm.
It's like a weird golf game.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't sound too bad though. Just from kind of hearing it, it seems to me like then if you were the person who had the harder list and were taking the penalty, it behooves you to just play like a jackass and crush the other guy because you start off so far behind.
Exactly. Which is why I assume that they're capping it at 8 as the hardest list that they're taking in the tournament. See, it just requires you to take different things than you might normally do.
And so, other than that, point value is pretty much anything. I mean, anything legal as long as you're taking the hit on that, or
yes. And I think that's under control. So it's uncontrollable. Like you said, if you were to try to take
Out of curiosity,
You know,
what does Hellebron rate as far as Swedish comp?
I'd have to go find it again. Hold on, let's see if I can just find it quick. Because I wasn't using special characters, so I just kind of glossed over that part.
She's like the big thing that terrifies the crap out of me in the Dark Elves. So I was just curious for kind of an understanding of the scale of what you're talking about.
Well, while he's looking that up, could somebody explain to me, like, are Doomfire Warlocks really all that great? Because I haven't run up against them. I've just painted them.
Well,
they
have
can
a
be
4-up ward.
They have a 4-up ward?
Yep.
Yeah, the whole unit has a 4-up ward, and they're fast cav, so you can build a really kind of nasty Dark Elf, like, super avoidance list, where you're doing, like, heavy Doomfires, and they're just running around and you can't touch them, and they're, like, spelling you to death and hiding wizards and characters in them, and...
Yeah, they're level 2 casters. Like Pink Horrors.
Mm-hmm.
Except they're way bigger than Pink Horrors.
They get 2 good
Yeah,
spells.
they got a magic missile and a debuff spell.
Yeah. And I tell you, when you told me about the range and the area on that debuff spell the other night, Skip, I thought you were bullshitting me.
Yeah.
I was like, everything within 24 inches? Yeah.
Yeah, and for elves, they're strength 4, and they've got 2 attacks, and they've got poison.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Poison, too?
As well as always. Yeah, they got poison as well.
And murderous prowess.
Yeah, they're pretty brutal. They can be scary. Luckily, Skip only got you to paint like 10 of them.
Kitchen sink. Here's a horse.
Yep, pretty much.
All right, so I found one. I think this is actually not the latest version. This was the version from June.
Okay.
But, I don't think it means much. Hellebron is minus 25, and then minus 8 for the Cauldron of Blood, and that's going to be on top of whatever you lose to the Cauldron of Blood. So if you've got her in there with the Cauldron of Blood, that's minus 33, and then minus 1 for each 5 Witch Elves you've got in the unit.
Okay, that's... I was about to say, Hellebron doesn't seem like she's penalized so much, but if you're taking...
then minus 3 for using Witch Brew, and then... Or minus 7 if you've got 20 or more Executioners in a unit in your army. So yeah, it adds up.
Huh. That seems
and they
like
hit you
far
hard.
more complicated to make your list with those... having to keep all those numbers intact.
Right, and like the Crown of Command is 25 points, or 35 points if you got an unmounted character. So they really penalize mounted characters, and they penalize certain lores. So like if you're using Shadow or Death, they give you a big penalty. And like I see, if you take the Sacrificial Dagger, you get minus 6 for every spell the person knows. I mean, they really hit you for those things. You know, I guess try to drive you away from the things that, you know, are very common.
Be interested to see what they do with ogres on that. Imagine they probably make the Hellheart painful as crap. But I can't... Maybe Iron Blasters probably would get a big point swing, but I can't really think of anything else in the ogre lists where you just want to be like penalizing the crap out of people for.
Here, I'll just scroll down. I'll give you an idea of what like the ogres are.
Apparently, Dark CT is watching. He wants me to do the green stuff surfing Yetis.
Yeah, awesome, you get to paint the top of their tufts blonde. Be cool.
No, you know what? I was talked in to the Muppet Man by Vince and his amazing work. There is no way I'm goofing up my ogre army enough to make blonde surfer yetis. That's not going to happen. I will hold true to my guns on that one.
Oh,
Brunette.
come on! You don't want to paint one that looked like Sean Penn?
No, not even a little bit.
All right, so for ogres, for example, the Hell Heart is 25 points, or 30 if you also have a spell scroll.
Yeah, that makes sense. 'Cause they want everybody to be able to have some magic, I guess.
So if you have 3 Iron Guts, for example, that's 7 points. But if you have 9 Iron Guts, it's minus 26 points.
Huh. Yeah, well, I guess they want to avoid the gut star build
Exactly.
and character
Yeah, so it's
walls
that-
and stuff.
So you really have to approach your army building from a totally different perspective.
Hey, Nick, do they have the list for Bretonia there?
Yes.
You take
Just
choices
curious.
out of the Bretonia book and it gives you points back? Is
Yeah,
that
I was going to say.
But there are a few things. There are a few things that give
How
points
much
back,
is the
like
reliquary?
if you take no like wizards and stuff like that. But hey, let me find Bretonia.
Okay.
That's funny.
See, and I can't imagine many things in the Goblin army being problem either.
I imagine that they probably comp you based on the number of characters you take. They probably, like, if you fill up with, like, character walls. Actually, I bet Fanatics probably have a pretty big point hit to them.
I don't know. The randomness can make them a liability very quickly.
Yeah, it can. But
So Bretonia. The reliquary. Let's see. What is that? Is that like a special rare choice?
It's,
I think it's special, isn't it?
yeah, special.
The Grail
All right.
Relic.
So depends on. Yeah, I mean, if you have the worst penalty you can get is 12 points for having 28 to 30 battle pilgrims.
Okay.
So the whole thing is penalized less than a single crown of command.
Yeah. But for trebuchets, the first one is minus 15 and the second one is minus 20.
Ouch.
So don't take any trebuchets. Okay.
The thing is,
Peasants, baby.
you've got a lot of points to burn, so you're probably not gonna. It's probably not gonna wind up hurting Bretonia that much. The Green Knight is
So-
40 points.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that bastard needs to be 100 points. I'm sorry, I've got some major hate on for that douche.
Bitter?
Just a little. I mean, I still am smarting from the time he freaking ate my entire ogre army by himself because I didn't have freaking magic weapons, and I couldn't cast a magic missile with Chog to save my freaking life, literally. So, do you have to like send these? Because I imagine like if it's a tournament of any size, if the TOs do check these things to make sure like you've done your points and shit right, that's got to take weeks. How far ahead of time are you expected to turn in this list?
It's usually about a month. And you know, going back to that discussion about like, you know, what you get free points for as far as like the painting and whatnot. A lot of these will offer, you know, a nominal number of points for like if you send your stuff in on time, you get 5 points. You know, just and if you're late, you get penalized points. So it seems to me that in the tournament scene, you know, the carrot and the stick is points. They basically give you points for everything to get you to do stuff, and they threaten to take away points for everything.
So do you mean points towards your comp, or like points for the battle
points towards your results.
Oh. Huh.
Like actual tournament points.
Mm.
I imagine that'd piss somebody off if you lost first place because your opponent was prompt.
Right, exactly.
I'm the better general, but you were on time, you bastard.
Was this up in Virginia?
It's going to be Williamsburg.
Williamsburg, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Skip's originally from Virginia, so every time it's mentioned anywhere, he perks up.
Yeah, I'm in Maryland currently. I'm originally from New York.
Okay. The city or upstate or?
The city. I'm actually from Brooklyn. I just don't have the accent.
Ah.
And where are you at now?
Schooling. Maryland. Just outside of D.C.
Okay. Oh, okay. Cool.
So with no Brolocks on the docket, what are you thinking instead?
I'm thinking that I'm going to definitely use the cold ones, and probably have that as my big hammer with some characters in there, and just take a smaller unit of executioners.
Harpies.
Out of curiosity, how do they?
I will have some harpies.
Yeah.
Since I'll have less fast cabs.
Out of curiosity, how do they penalize stuff like the assassins? Because I mean, on a read through of the book, I thought they were pretty awesome, but you never really see them anywhere.
Yeah, no, those are not penalized at all. It's a point to bring an assassin.
Really?
Yeah. Meanwhile, the level 4 sorceress probably costs 40 or 50 points, and more if you're taking like Lore of Shadow or something like that. So I may actually take metal, just to be a lore that's not going to cost me a ton of points.
That's cool.
Basically, if you take like death or shadow or life, they penalize you.
See, I would be like totally smarmy and take just some shitty tiny character as my general, and then spend all the rest of my 50 points on heroes, or 50% on heroes in assassins.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking
like half a dozen characters. None of which are show up.
But that's the thing. It's kind of like you get penalized for certain things, but it's not like you can just spam multiple small units, right? Because every unit you take is going to have a cost. So if you take your big expensive Death Star and say, all right, I'm gonna make it smaller and cheaper, and then buy 3 more units, you still got to pay those 3 units costs. So that's the kind of juggling thing. If you make your 1 unit cheaper and then just buy 3 more units that you're paying the cost for, you wind up paying the same penalty.
Mm-hmm. So have you done one of these events before, or is this your first try at it?
I've never used Swedish comp before.
Okay.
The tournaments that I've been to have been uncomped.
Mm-hmm.
Or, nominally comped, no special characters or something like that.
Right. Well, I'd be curious to see, like, what does better then. I mean, are you better off taking stuff that like you'd normally take and take your lumps for it in the comp system, or is it really a big enough of advantage to go to just absolutely change up your army style and go with just kind of some kooky stuff and take the benefit of those extra points?
I'm going to try and see what the best list I can put together at the softest score I can get, just because I don't feel confident enough to give up that many bonus points at And I don't really know. I mean, I have no idea like what the general consensus will be. You know, will everybody come in at an 8, or is everybody going to come in at a 14? This is sort of a new thing. I don't think that the Swedish comp has been used much in this area, so I don't think there's like a lot of history to it.
Mm-hmm. What are your general thoughts on comp? I mean, do you think it's necessary? I mean, you definitely have played more tournament games than any of us have. Is it something that you enjoy and expect, or is it kind of like, damn it, they're not letting me play with my stuff anymore?
Well, I mean, I haven't done it enough, you know, like somebody like Anthony or someone who's got a lot of experience that would be able to tell right off the bat. I've never been bothered by it, but I also don't play at the top tables. So, you know, if everybody's like playing Epidemius and stuff like that, you know, it may get more annoying. But like at the last tournament I went to, I played another Dark Elf player, and that was the night and day. You know, I mean, I literally had twice as many units as he had, because he had all of his points in characters on Pegasus and like giant, you know, 14-man Brolock buses.
Jesus.
Wow.
That I would probably just shake hands and say good game if I saw you drop 14-man Brolock buses on the table, Skip, just to give you.
Yeah.
He had his army down, and I was still putting down chaff.
Jesus. So, Nick, William Page says he'll be in the D.C. area starting in May 2016, so if you're still there, he'd like to get up a game with you.
Oh, definitely.
He says, let's set up a game on Wednesday around 7 p.m. 2016. If you're watching this, William, you are one of the invited special few. You should have an email with a link to this little get-together in your email or your group, whatever. If you want to join us, man, you are more than welcome to. And if not, leave a comment, or if you don't have it, leave a comment. I'll send you the link again. See, because the only the reason I'm interested is back in February we did a local tournament run by a guy that we occasionally play with around here, but it was like a Brawler's Bash prep tourney. So it was like 3,000 points, totally uncomped. Just bring whatever the hell you can and smash face, because all that matters is how much you kill. So it was very front-loaded, very aggressive. I didn't do too bad. I think I placed 4th.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small tournament. There's, what, a dozen of us there, Skip? Something like that?
Yeah.
Skip won Best Sportsman.
I got best. Yeah.
I think that's just because you played Bertodia and did it without whining.
Hey, I won my first battle.
Yeah, you did. The freaking heroic killing blow lord taking out a steam tank really doesn't hurt in that particular instance.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah. I just thought it was so funny because I brought Yetis, and that seemed to impress the hell out of everybody. It's like every time they did something, people were yelling, and they did. They held off a whole freaking 16-man brick. What were they? The crypt horrors that I hit in the flank, and he just couldn't dislodge me. Admittedly, that was totally a corner case and mathematically should never have happened. I'm claiming it. And then game 2, I got my teeth kicked in by a Demon Prince of Nurgle purple sunning me off the board. Coincidentally, though, that guy managed to take that same list, 2 actual brawlers, and he was the one who won the whole tournament.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So I was like, if I'm going to get my teeth punched in by somebody, it might as well be the fellow who took the whole thing, right? It's like, if I'm going to get beat, I'll get beat by the best. So, go ahead.
Doesn't Durham have another tournament? I know they host
They
Brawlers,
just
but don't they
finished.
host something else?
Yeah, Grail Quest.
Yeah, they just finished Grail Quest a couple weeks ago.
Okay, Grail Quest. Okay.
Yeah, that one's kind of neat because it's like you get, like, I think it's Swedish comp or something, but then you also get a certain amount of monsters from
Right.
like Monstrous Arcana that don't count towards your comp score. So you just kind of bring some crazy shit too, which leans towards my enjoyment level. I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, I think from Once Bitten's videos, you get like 350 points you could take in monsters. And so the Swedish comp is designed for 2,400 point lists.
Mm-hmm.
So if you skew that number very high or very low, you're going to wind up getting inaccurate scores because the penalties, are based on the idea that you're having
You have X number of points to spend.
points worth of stuff.
Right.
I mean, if you were doing it on 1,000-point lists, you just wouldn't have enough stuff to actually knock down the point levels to be to where you'd expect them to be.
Right. Out of curiosity, do you know if the Swedish comp is taking into account the new 50% Lords and Heroes bit?
No, the one I was looking at this afternoon said that one should be coming out soon.
Oh.
So they'll probably just change it up a little bit. I mean, they must have mathematicians that do this on the side.
I don't believe in math. Math is a lie. It doesn't work.
I would fight that point, except I still haven't beaten her in a game of Warhammer yet, so there's got to be something to that theory. But it's alright. I heard that you wanted another game. We're going to have to get one in soon. I heard what you were telling Whoopi. I listen in.
Yeah, find the time.
Yeah, good point.
Well, Michael's chomping at the bit to take on the Greenskins again, so...
Yeah. Of course, she doesn't want anybody watching, so we'll have to set up a time where Michael can come over and then you and I leave. So there are no witnesses. And then you and I can come back once they're done.
Yeah, you do that, and you might be short of Stumpy.
Oh, come on. There's nothing wrong with playing Michael, is there?
Because he'll say something, and then he won't be, and then you won't see him again.
I love adding the threat of violence to what is an otherwise innocent war game. Don't you guys?
Innocent my eye.
Wanted. 1 hour playing mimes.
That'll be it. Can we stay and watch if we agree to be bound and gagged? Because I would like to at least be there to take the pictures so we can get a battle report out of it.
We'll see. I won't lie. I like the idea of tying you up and gagging you.
I don't think we should be having this conversation in front of other people, sweetie.
I think I'm going to stay out of this one.
So, because monsters are on my mind right now, he said, cleverly changing the topic. Curious as to what everybody thinks their favorite monster is in the game.
Monster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have too much experience with monsters except for the Dark Elf Hydras, and I like them. I actually like the new way they're running the Hydra in the most recent book.
Yeah, I'm actually not. I didn't ever get a chance to play against the old Hydra, so I'm not entirely sure how much it changed. But
Well,
I know
basically-
everybody whined about it a lot, and now nobody plays with it.
The old Hydra, it's like a normal monster. Hey, William.
Hello, hello.
Oh, hey,
It
man.
had regeneration. And the handlers were separate little guys that also fought and whatnot. And if they died, they had to take the monster reaction test. The new version, they just gave them special rules. The handlers are for show, and they don't have regeneration anymore. But basically, if they live to the end of your turn, you just roll a die for every wound it's missing, and on a 4+, it gets it back.
Mm-hmm.
So the trick is getting it to survive till the end of your turn.
Basically, it sounds like it's good at grinding combats, but really has a problem dealing with anything that can kick out the pain.
It's
fair?
toughness 5 with 5 wounds. 4-up armor save. And it gets 3 attacks plus 1 for every wound it has.
3 attack plus 1 for every wound it has?
Right, so it gets 8 attacks if all of its heads are still alive.
Weird. Of course, doesn't that make them really weak against anything that goes faster than them?
Yes, that's the trick.
Uh,
And then you could buy as an upgrade either a breath weapon or let it spit fire as like a sort of a weak range attack. But I don't really see the utility of that. I mean, I take the breath weapon usually.
that's a cool one.
Yeah.
Anybody else got a favorite monster to discuss?
I like the Vargol.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
I like the way the model looks. I think he's just a giant bat walking around is pretty cool.
Mhm.
The Charybdis is not bad looking either.
That's the one Alicia calls the vagina monster.
Yeah.
Definitely got a Cthulhu feel to it.
Hmm.
Is
That's
it?
on my Christmas wish list.
I haven't played with it, but it seems to be the monster that's designed for taking out other monsters.
My favorite monster, and people will laugh at me for this, is probably the giant. I love my giant, but I gotta say, what?
My Giant with Billy Crystal.
No, I hate the movie. But my giant is loudly crystal and therefore instantly better. I like the zany randomness, and that's kind of cool. And they are actually pretty good at like rocket face on other monsters. I mean, you get into them and you get that, what is it, thump with club, where it's like initiative test or take 2d6 wounds and just die. But right now I'm actually like really in love with my slaughter brute. And maybe that's just a sign I love terrible monsters, but I love the idea of like linking him to a Chaos Lord, and it's like, all right, here's my weapon skill 7 monster, just like running upside your face and rocking you.
I think my favorite looking monster is that blind dinosaur that the lizardmen have. I wish I could start a lizardman army just for that. I know it sucks though too.
Which one?
The blind one, that I think when it roars, the lizardmen can get the 5 or 6 on their special rule. Rather
Oh,
than
the Troglodon or something?
I love the look of that thing.
There have been times I've considered picking up lizardmen for their dinosaurs, and then I look at them and notice that they're $85 a pop, and that idea goes back on the shelf.
That monster looks like something kind of like out of Razor.
Out of
The
what?
fact that it has no eyes. The Trilodon. I'm looking at a picture of it right now.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty wild looking.
But the only monster I've ever used is the Hydra. That's all I have. So I have a black dragon. I haven't used it in a long time.
Mm-hmm. Well, planning on getting any use out of it now that it's 50% Lords and Heroes? You got plenty of space.
Tomorrow, I actually was thinking about today. I have a game tomorrow morning, so I'm gonna use it then. I was actually surprised. I didn't think people were really going to jump on the bandwagon here to do the 50% Lord thing, but I've already gotten 2 games this week, and people both used it, and I was kind of shocked.
Why would you be shocked about that? I mean, what is it? I don't know much about the scene over in Hawaii. So.
Well, I mean, it's just like it's really laid back, and people kind of just play the same things. I felt like. But this really, I guess, shook it up, and then there's been a lot of people that I've never seen play actually starting to play fantasy. So
maybe everyone's getting bored by the same thing.
I didn't catch that.
Oh, I was saying maybe that was just a sign that everybody was playing the same thing just because they were kind of bored, and this gave them an opportunity to try something new.
Yeah, and even then, it's not like people are bringing broken things. I played against a Dark Elf guy who brought a Dreadlord in a level 4, and they were on foot. And then I played a Bretonnian person who I think he spent a little over the 25%, but he didn't go overboard.
Right. I mean, but you could fit a Dreadlord in level 4 in 25%. You just would probably you wouldn't be able to max them out on magic items.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. I don't know. I don't see the Dark Elves like being one of the armies that would really benefit from like trying to take percent in Lords.
I think if you ran against a person that was playing that Warlock bus, that they would do it.
Well, Warlock bus with a character wall, like they're playing freaking Bretonnians.
Or I think they would be the only version of the Dark Elves that would benefit from it.
Right. I mean, because what do you think? Like 3 Dreadlords just seems because the problem gets to be when you're. I mean, some armies have a bunch of different like Lord choices, but with an army like Dark Elves, after you've kitted out the first or second one, you've run out of good magic items to give another one.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I
don't know if. Go on, William.
Oh, I was just saying, if I was to try to think of a scenario in which somebody would benefit from it in the Dark Elves, I would think that would be the one. But I don't think, I agree with Nick. I don't think it's that beneficial overall.
Yeah. Well,
unless you want to do charity.
I don't know if you guys saw the battle report I posted today already, but Skip and I did the 50% Lords and Heroes, and I brought my Slanesh Demon army with a Keeper of Secrets tooled up for magic and a Demon Prince tooled up for combat.
I saw it, yeah.
I did too.
It didn't go well.
Yeah, but if he had been a little bit more lucky and rolled 2 wounds on the second bolt thrower shot in the first or second turn.
Yeah. Of course, and I think too it was just I happened to get the perfect gift set to on that Demon Prince. So it was like, oh, you wounded me, let me trash a couple of little light things, and now all my wounds are gone. And then I can go into the witches and not feel bad. But there's no way I could have done that before the 25 or before the 50% unless we were playing some stupid 5,000 point game. Not that I'm in any real hurry to do that every game we play.
Yeah, because it's still coming from the rest of your budget somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. I tend to not... I mean, demons are one of those armies that I think you have to go pretty heavy on characters because of how they do the heralds. And you're essentially... I mean, in your core, you're already paying for the fact that your heralds can buff an entire unit of core like crazy. So you pretty much have to do it to make them as good as their point value is, If
right,
that
right.
makes sense whatsoever.
some armies seem more character-centric. I mean, like Tomb Kings, obviously, is designed to play a lot of characters.
Mm-hmm.
Because the characters are what makes the unit, what makes the units good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, before we get off this, Alicia, do you have you've looked at some stuff. You've been looking at things from kind of the paint side of everything, and do you have a particular favorite monster that you just like the look of, that you'd like to get the chance to paint or something?
I like that Chimera you're working on. That's why I pity it.
You bitch.
I love my Mangler squig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the next I got an idea for the next banner that you can paint. How about you use this sigil right here? I'm trying.
You're going on pure looks. The Forge World monsters, they have some pretty nice looking ones.
What is it? The Dread Saurian, the big dinosaur that they did that's the size of a goddamn turkey.
Yeah.
That thing looks amazing, but I can't imagine what the hell you would use it for. Because, there aren't rules for it, are there? They just were like, let's make this giant fucking thing.
No, I think some of them are in, like, Storm of Magic or the Monstrous, those supplements that didn't sell very well, that no one hardly ever uses.
Right, because that's what they should be making a $200 damn model for.
Well, hey, that's why they pretty much said that they've stopped. They're not doing any new products for Warhammer Fantasy.
Which is a real shame.
Yeah, so
probably means we need to go ahead and get those colossal squigs and the squig splitter for you before they.
Right. I don't think they're taking them out of production. They're just not developing anything new.
Oh, okay.
That's good, because I like those squigs. Those are good squigs.
I still think you need to get the colossal squig, put a howdah on its back, and use it for the Arachnarok, since you won't actually get a spider.
I've seen that colossal squig. It's huge. I saw it at a tournament.
How big is it? Is like size like a watermelon, the size of a small cat?
It's larger than a softball.
Okay.
But but not as big as a bowling ball. It's somewhere in between those two.
So it's like the fine
cantaloupe.
Yeah, cantaloupe. A nice melon.
Okay. I'm trying to remember what his name is, but there's a dragon that I saw on the PMP site that I would love to get my hands on and try and paint. But this guy did like a ridiculously good job doing it anyway.
Was it the one that you were talking about with the whether things look evil or look good?
Yes, that one.
Yeah, that's the Dark Elf Black Dragon, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was. Well, I knew the name wasn't on here, but I was looking for. There it is. It was the Ravel painted this thing, and it's just ridiculously gorgeous. He's made me want this thing.
Yeah, that's the Dark Elf.
But
yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, that's just like the basic Dark Elf dragon.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is just amazing and put so much work into it that it really looks something more than just your basic freaking dragon.
Well, no, I mean, the sculpt on it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a beautiful model.
Because, I mean, this is what I'm going to get to work with for my Wood Elves. I want
that's the thing.
that kind of dragon. What else?
Yeah.
Well,
the Dark Elves used to have a dragon that looked like that, the old Malekith figure, but then we got a new dragon.
Yeah.
well, there's nothing wrong with taking that dragon and making it look a little nicer. Give him nice pearly white teeth instead of nasty evil teeth. And
Why not just get a high elf dragon? They look nice. No.
Yeah, the Malekith dragon is what I was playing with the other night.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice model, but it's definitely dated.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know that I've even seen the High Elf dragon. Only High Elf player we had up until Michael only brought the damn phoenixes.
Oh.
All right. You might pique my curiosity. Let me find this.
You're sounding like a Cylon again.
Come on, say it. By your command.
By your command.
I don't know. So, I posted to the group yesterday to try and get some ideas of what to do for my Hell Cannon, and what I think I've decided on is I'm going to get a Pyrovore. I think that's what it's called, from the Tyranids from 40K. It's like this big freaking monster with a giant like bio cannon on its back.
Right.
And then I have the throne part and the the Herald of Corn from the Corn Cannon / Blood Throne kit. So I'm going to take the throne on it, the giant Herald, put him on the back of it, get some like jewelry chains, and attach it to the face of the Pyrovore, and like have the Herald of Corn like driving him, sitting on the big ass throne.
Nice.
It's gonna look awesome.
I hope so. It looks good in my brain, but I have this problem making the stuff that looks good in my brain come out well on the table.
I
kind of want to
do a big box. Oh, sorry. I didn't talk over you.
You are still sounding like a Cylon.
Well, if you put that on the table, I'll be sure to throw Michael right in front of it. So, we're good.
I kind of want to do a mono corn list, but I just don't know if it's competitive enough to be worth the money.
Competitive, no, but they're kind of fun. At least in the Warriors, like our last Warriors player, he did mono corn. He
I'm at
lost
Demons.
more games than he won. Oh, in Demons? Oh, I don't know. That's an entirely different creature right there.
Games Workshop just put up all their big bundles for try to get on people's holiday wish lists.
Yeah, I saw that fat discount they put on the corn one because nobody will buy it.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, it looks all good like that, but.
But the big problem is for some god-awful reason, this game really overcosts magic resistance.
Yeah.
And being that, like, the whole freaking corn army for the demons has multiple points of magic resistance depending upon your character, you're just paying way too much for what you're getting out of it.
Well, and if you went true monocorn, you've got no magic. You're the dwarves of the demons.
Right.
Mm-mm.
I don't know. If I was going to go monocorn,
you'd be a unicorn.
Right. I would probably have to put in that character, the dog character.
Oh yeah, the Karnak.
That's like specific.
Yeah.
That's like specifically focused on killing wizards, and you just have him and the ambushing dogs just like hunt down anything that can throw magic. Because I don't know how well you'd be able to last a whole game.
Right.
With just magic being able to do whatever the hell it wanted to.
Plus, you'd still have to roll on that stupid table every turn to see if you get blown up by your own magic that you don't have.
Right.
What do you guys think about changing the magic resistance rules to adding, like if you're magic resistance 2, is that what it is? Yeah, 2, you get to add that to your wizard levels for dispel attempts for spells that are cast at your unit. So like if somebody were to pain your unit, you'd get your 4, and if they cast at your magic resistance 2 person, you get a 6 bonus on your dice rolls.
I think it used to be like that in the previous edition.
It used to give you dice, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, gave extra dice or something like that, as opposed to the ward save they do now.
Yeah.
It's a cute idea.
And it's kind of like Hellebron.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the other thought I had is it could just be just a flat ward save to resist the effects of a spell.
Ugh, that's too powerful.
Even as opposed to a scaling ward save?
Well, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't stack with any existing ward saves, but like Magic Resist 1 would give you just a 6 up for that unit to ignore the effects of a spell. So it would work on like your magic missiles, it'll work on the stuff like Final Trans and the shit it doesn't work on now. I mean...
But if you well, what would be the benefit? So if you want to make magic resistance weaker, what are you gaining in exchange for making it worse?
Well, the fact that it would work on stuff like Purple Sun where it doesn't now. It would just literally be...
Well, but if it's a ward save, then it's... So you're saying really it's not a ward save, you're going to create a new kind of save.
Yeah, it would work like, I mean, kind of like the Rune Maw does for ogres, so where it's just like
6 plus no effect as opposed to a ward save.
Yeah. That's probably a better way to say it. That would be my intent. Yes.
I like the killer spells. I think it is a good counter to people who would otherwise just throw. Well, they still do this, but throw all their characters in a bus.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess if I were to change it just a little bit, I would give one character in a unit a lookout sir, but I would definitely not give them all lookout sirs. But yeah, I feel like if it wasn't for the death spells, people would just pile everything into one unit.
Yeah, I was just looking at. I guess it was Anthony's video where he was looking at the ETC comp. The ETC comp gives a lookout sir for up to 2 characters against those spells.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So I guess that is it out of random curiosity, like let's say it was Purple Sun, and I run Purple Sun through 2 units, and you've got 3 characters split between the 2 units. Does that mean you only get 2 lookout sirs?
No.
Period, or is it 2 lookout sirs per unit?
Per unit.
Characters.
It's per unit.
Okay.
Mm.
It's not too bad.
You want to know what my answer to Purple Sun is?
Don't play the game.
A bucket of yellow paint to the guy using it on me. Nice, that ain't purple.
So are you trying to say that yellow suns give you a save against them, or what?
The sun's yellow. It doesn't hurt unless you're looking at it.
Like a Green Lantern thing.
Okay.
But ETC comp is weird because it's really designed for team events.
Oh.
Yeah, the way the ETC works, and they have an American Team Championships now too. I think it ran in like Nashville this past year for the first time. The way those work is you get 5 guys together, or girls. You have 5 people on your team, and everybody has to play a different army. And your team gets paired up against another team, and you'd go like, okay, we're gonna put up Skip's Bretonia, and the other team would say, okay, we're going to fight it with Joe's Skaven, and then they'd nominate a person, and then our team would nominate someone to play them, and then your round is determined by how well you do over the course of those 5 games, So it's like a whole team deal.
Hmm.
And there was a video where Skaven and AZ was talking about it with Anthony. I guess because some tournament that Anthony's going to is using ETC comp, but for a solo event, and he was saying how that's the Skaven, I guess, are really overcomped in that format because the way the Skaven wind up getting played is you just throw them against the other team's strongest person and play for a draw, and then hope the rest of your teammates carry the wins.
Weird.
Yeah, so there's a whole different meta involved in a lot of these comp systems.
It sounds like a really complicated paper, rock, scissors.
Exactly, because now you're taking a game that's normally played between 2 people, and you're saying now this is a game played between 10 people with 5 on a side, and you're trying to compensate for all the vagaries that you could have there.
My only question is, aren't people just satisfied in playing the damn game as it is? I mean, it's like every time I turn around, somebody's talking about some different comp system. It's like...
Well, I think it's like what William has said a couple of times recently, that Warhammer is not built to be really a competitive game, and people are trying to come up with tweaks to make it more competitive.
That summarizes my feelings.
Does it work?
I mean, who play it, I mean, I guess are having fun with it. But, you know, it's kind of like you said, the points are you know, really arbitrary, right? So, I mean, if you throw up against, you know, a weaker army, you know, has to fight a really hard Nurgle Epidemius list, that's not really a fair fight, even though they're both using the same point values, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so people are trying to, you know, tweak the rules after the fact to try to make it more competitive.
Makes me happy I don't worry about any of that crap.
Yeah.
You know, I think, though, that even though probably the relatively small number of people, you know, play at the competitive level or, like, really competitive level, I think that those kind of things are good for the game in general because that's something that people see and talk about, even if you don't wind up doing it, you know, it has an impact on the game. It's kind of like, you know, if you played like World of Warcraft or those kind of games, you know, you've always going to have the people that are doing the cutting edge content and playing for 40 hours a week or whatever. And even though most people aren't doing that, it gets press, it gets attention, it gets people interested.
Certainly gives us plenty of things to talk about in our paintisodes.
Right. I think
innumerable podcasts.
What?
I'm sorry.
Good.
I was just saying, I think it's fine. I think people should be free to play however they want to play. You know, whatever is fun for them, let them play that way. The only thing that irks me is like the absoluteness people talk about things in the terms like the game isn't. The game is competitive. Anything can be competitive, but I feel like people kind of like lie to themselves about how they kind of imagine it to be like really highbrow strategy when really it doesn't always end up being that way. So that's my only qualm with the whole thing. Like you can be competitive, you can have fun however you want, but don't talk about it. Well, you can talk about how you want, but you know, be real. It's not that highbrow strategy.
So you mean it's not the equivalent of the Art of War that I push my models up 12 inches in purple sun down your line?
Yeah, I mean that's fine.
I think Sun Tzu actually talked about that. He said, "What was it? Purple sun is a bitch."
And you know, and the dice. You know, the dice can be fickle. Mm-hmm. It's not like we're playing the Warhammer version of chess where the outcomes are fixed if your strategy is perfect.
Right.
You know, somebody's going to get that double 1 or double 6, out of the blue and change everything up.
Hey, I like all your opinion episodes that you've been having recently, by the way, Nick. Or Nicholas.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know how you go by, but
Nick is fine. I usually put Nicholas and Prince.
okay.
Plus there's a few other Nicks already making videos, so
Yeah.
I figured.
Yeah, I've been enjoying them as well.
You're very groovy.
Yeah, I've definitely been staying on top of them.
I think that it's really commendable for anybody who has the courage to go up there and like voice their opinions, because like we live in a society that's they don't want to hear things that they don't agree with, and I don't know, they find it offensive just for you to speak your mind.
Right. Well, and the way our society is, you can easily just go find people who agree with you. There's just so many voices that you never have to go outside of your comfort zone if you're not willing to.
Yeah. But people want to burn you to the stake if you voice something different. I feel sorry for Long Island Gaming Nick. When you posted that last video, I knew he was going to get some flack for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, all right, let me go ahead and say on record, I think whoever actually emailed him hate mail on that is a total tool and should be working on his written apology as we speak, because that's just a total douche thing to do. But that being said, I have certain agreements with the level of negativity that some folks present certain things with, because I think it gives this the sky is falling kind of mentality, and it ends up spreading, particularly from the folks who do have a lot of subscribers, is that negativity just kind of goes through the whole freaking community, and it's not really good for anybody. So I would, I'm not going to call him out and tell him, no, you shouldn't ever post these things that you feel negatively about, but it's like, look at it with a perspective and don't just be like, oh, this sucks, this game is terrible, blah, 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 blah. And I said the same thing to Tremendous when he went that way on his dice, every battle report for a week and a half solid. It's like, give us some positivity, some good energy or something, man.
I just want to hear the truth. I don't care if it's sad or not. But I don't know. I'm a big freedom of speech guy, so.
Right. Well, and like I say, I'm not saying that he shouldn't say, I don't like these rules and this is why and this is what's going on. But I think there's a way that you can do that without it coming across as just empty complaining.
Oh, okay.
Not to say that that's what he was doing there, but just in general terms. That complaining for the sake of complaining, I don't think helps anybody.
All right, guys, I need to hop off here, so I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight.
All right, take it easy, brother.
Night,
See
Gab.
y'all later. Good night.
So I don't know. I mean, I pretty much knew that there was going to be some negative back and forth once they had made a decision about the whole 50% Lords and Heroes thing as to whether that was permanent or what have you. I guess I'm a little surprised at who stepped up on the positive and negative sides of it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, frankly, I'm surprised that I'm so cool with it, to be honest with you.
Well, I think if you're not I don't consider myself a competitive player. I think there's bad things about the 50% rule. I've stated them already. But I think, if you're not competitive, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's irrelevant. So you shouldn't really have a reason.
Too soon to Oh, for a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason why I say I'm surprised that I'm reacting so well to it is, though it doesn't come across in many of my videos, I'm kind of a curmudgeon.
No.
I knew she was going to say some shit like that. And I'm very resistant to change in many ways. So I was really expecting to just absolutely have a hate on for the rules change. And it kind of surprised me when I looked at it and the games that we've played, and I was like, you know what? This is okay. I'm not feeling like this is totally ruining my game. So.
Yeah, I think they did the Chaos Legion book really well. I think the thing that I think most people may have feared was like maybe terrible synergy between the three armies, but I don't feel like there is a lot of synergy there. I think it's just like you have three armies that can hang out with each. I mean, sure, they can bring the best units from every one, but as far as like the rules interacting with each other, they don't seem to do that very much. Like you can't slam a demon character into a unit of Chaos Warriors or Beastmen, so.
Yeah. If you could, I'd be pissed off because you can't slam a demon character into units of demon characters unless they match. So, but yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with the rules for the new Glotkin book, except potentially the city battles rules. I just think the logistics of that were designed with like a skirmish game in mind, and I don't know that they really will work well with the reality of what 8th edition Warhammer is, as far as your large block troops not fitting in a lot of the things they describe, like the alleys and whatnot. My biggest issue with the Glotkin book is I just thought the fluff sucked. And for me, that's the far bigger sin than some screwed up rules.
I don't know. I feel like GW Fluff is all the same. So.
To a certain degree, I'll agree with you, but I think I got a little spoiled with Nagash. I think there's a static nature to the GW Fluff that Nagash kind of shook up real hard. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of excited because I was like, all right, this is where we're moving in the future. There's going to be uncertainty. It's going to be interesting. And then Glotkin just kind of went, no, let's not do that. Let's go back to what we were doing. And so I was just kind of disappointed with that in general.
Shock value for preteen boys. So they'll buy it.
I speak towards the battles a lot, because as soon as you start reading the beginning of a battle, you can already identify like how everybody's going to die. It's like the good guys do this, and then out of nowhere a bunch of guys come, and then they take a bunch of casualties, and then out of nowhere a bunch more guys come, and then they take all these casualties, and then all of a sudden the bad guys have more reinforcements, and at the end of the day the bad guys win, and it looks like they didn't take any casualties during the battle, that they took tons.
Yeah, but even Hollywood, follows terrible formulas.
Yeah.
Like I just saw that Big Hero 6 movie, and I really enjoyed it, but I mean, completely formula.
I actually want to see that movie.
It's good, but I mean, it's you'll be able to predict the plot. I mean.
Well, most of the movies that I like, you can pretty much predict the plot.
Right.
I like it more for the animation.
Movies.
So, on a completely different tactic, what do you think about Games Workshop's new CEO?
Who's it
to be honest,
now?
I haven't heard anything about it.
All right, so you remember when the quarterly report came out, and the numbers were poor, and the guy who was the CEO was like, well, we've been having a great year unless you care about the numbers, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So they decided they were going to replace their CEO, and rather than do it like any normal business does it, They were like, we want people to send us applications. If you think that you can run Games Workshop, send us a resume with a letter about why you'd be the ideal candidate.
Yeah,
so
I saw that.
Right, so this whole goofy publicity stunt, and now they just announced that they picked some 20-year company man from inside the ranks.
Oh, that's funny.
So don't expect any changes at Games Workshop, I guess, is what I'm predicting.
Well, I'll go ahead and say anybody who actually expected them to pick somebody's resume and take some dude off the street was smoking something.
Well,
that's not how that works.
But again, you're thinking like a normal company. I mean, in the quarterly report, for investors, there's a publicly traded company. He said, we don't do market research. We're just deciding that we're the greatest miniature company and that people, will buy all of our miniatures, and we're not a game company. I mean, things that, if you want to say that behind closed doors, but the fact that they just publicly come out and say things like, we don't do market research. We don't listen to our customers. We're just going to just decide what it is and go with it.
The biggest problem with that, and the reason why that is the way it is because all the guys who are up top in GW are the people who have been up top in GW basically since it was founded. And back then, you didn't have to do market research because they were pretty much the only game in town doing what they were doing.
Right, which they no longer are.
Right, and the problem is that those folks are just not paying attention to that fact. And that blows my mind just a little bit.
Right. Well, that's the thing, and it's a publicly traded company now. It's not like it's like they could just do whatever they want because some guy owns it.
Yeah.
It seems weird.
I don't know. I mean, I guess they've got still have a certain amount of faith from the stockholders, because you're not seeing anybody who is putting money into the company clamoring for heads like probably should be happening. So I don't know who their major stockholders are, but they apparently are. If not having those people's faith, they're at least snow jobbing them good enough to.
Right.
My guess is probably the guys who have been there the longest. They probably bought the most stock.
That's probably fair.
Yeah.
It's just really odd.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't surprise me in the least that they picked a guy who's been with them for 1 billion years, because I mean, that's just how it works. It's a boys' club. The guys who have been there the longest are going to be the ones who.
Oh, right. It just seemed weird to do that. Then why did they bother going through the weird publicity stunts?
Well, you never know. I mean, maybe if somebody amazing had if Bill Gates or something had turned around and went, you know what, I think I could do that, they would be like, you know what, that's a good idea, why don't you come and do this? But I think they were praying for a miracle and they didn't get one. Instead, they had all the people who are working at their retail stores now going, hell, I could run this place, and those
Right.
are the ones who... I have 6 years of retail management experience at McDonald's. Let me run GW. I don't know. Why am I only working in primary colors? I wish I could learn how to paint with my eyes closed or blindfolded or something and have it look good. Because right now, I do these things in layers, and I know what I'm ultimately getting for, and I'm only a 1/10 of the way done, but I'm looking at it and going, this looks like shit. I keep doing this.
That's what ambient is for. Sleep paint.
Nice. Just woo! Everything would have a dreamy quality. I think I'm going to end up having to pin this freaking tail on this Chimera. Because it's like... I don't know if it was originally... Because I got it all secondhand, so I don't know if it was originally 2 pieces. And, like, the plastic glue jacked it up. And so when it broke again, it's like it doesn't fit flush. I've glued it again, primed it, and it's still like a weak-ass joint. So
I thought that thing was hot glued together.
no, it was actually, well, it was either hot glued at such a temperature that it melted the plastic, or it was actually plastic glue, because it, like, when it popped apart, the 2 pieces had that, like, pitting that you get in plastic glue when they melt together. And I don't know. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. It's just like, oh.
You know how in the beginning of the Glocken book they have those rules for the buildings, though?
Yeah.
Opportunity to fix the watchtower. You could give the watchtower wounds and a toughness. It's right out of the book now.
Mm-hmm.
Just make this simple adoption. I mean, people are getting caught up on the Ascendant rules and whether or not they're legal, but there's also other things that might be able to be taken that may not be particularly beneficial to your army, but could help the game.
Of course, at that point...
Watchtower.
Huh?
Because then you can just destroy the damn thing and fight it like a battle line.
Well, then you could just ignore Watchtower. I mean, I'm just wondering if you... Because if you're still playing with the rule that you have to control the Watchtower...
Well, you do until it's gone, and then you just...
Yeah, it's just kind of like a weird scenario.
The person who has to hold the watchtower has to defend the watchtower, not just sit something in it.
That could be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if tournaments wind up using that rule because, they've pretty much done away with, Blood and Glory.
Oh, that's like, I think that's a great game. They should keep that.
No, not all of them. I mean, right. Adepticon uses Blood and Glory the way it's written, where as soon as the Fortitude is broken, the game ends.
Yeah.
But most of the other tournaments, they basically just say you get a big passel of bonus points if you're the first person to break Fortitude, but they still have them play out a full game, regardless.
Yeah.
I feel like like one of the best missions they wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what would occur to me just occurred to me would be kind of a fun mission using those rules? You probably assume, or you put like a wall or something along the whole back end of the board, and have one player be defending a dam. And so each of the segments of wall essentially would have its own hit points, like building rules. And when the dam is breached in a certain section, you just lay out river pieces.
Oh, that's nice.
Flowing out. And so, like, maybe the attacker has to breach the dam in 3 different places to flood a nearby village or something, and the defender is trying to obviously stop that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
We might have to play that soon. I have to run it by the guys and see what they think.
It'd be impressive to see what the dam would look like if you have the time to make one, too.
Yeah. Michael will veto it because of the chances of a river of light coming, but...
No, each hole should have like a different random river coming out.
Just like randomly generate it when it gets broken?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying he'll probably veto it because there's a chance the river of light will come out.
Well, the trick with that would be is how to balance it for the heavy shooting armies versus the not, right? I mean, dwarves would just sit back and blow it up with cannons.
Yeah.
And warriors of chaos would have to run up and hit it.
Are we talking about is this a mission for fun or is this for a tournament?
Just for kick.
For fun.
Oh, I mean, for fun, you can just work out with your opponent, like...
Yeah, I mean, you could work it out to match what you were playing, but...
Yeah.
Maybe just be like, attacker is limited to 1 war machine or something, and...
Or you could even maybe make the first rule some sort of night fight, gives the defender a chance to maybe do something about the cannons.
It'd
like
be neat.
moving groups.
Like I said, that's one of the things I like about Gash when they gave the just kind of random option for like those underground rule additives. I mean, you wouldn't want to use all of them, or even frankly as many of them as they put in their scenarios. I don't think, but it just gives you another toolbox to put together to kind of make your own stuff, which I thought was pretty awesome.
Random event beavers.
Yeah. Make them come on the board, attack whoever happens to be nearby the dam. It'd be great.
You know,
Yeah,
I buy all these supplement books like Storm of Magic and this Epidemus and all that stuff, and I wouldn't mind playing the missions. It's just the people I play against don't buy the books, and I don't blame them. And so they're not really up to play the game since they didn't get a chance to read through the book and check it out. That's the only bad thing.
Yeah, that's the one nice thing about the way we're doing it, because we're just, like, not each of us is buying it. We're just each kicking in, like, $20 so that we've got a club copy of each of the books, so nobody feels like they've got to kick in too much, and we all get the access to the rules.
Yeah, and those last few supplements just didn't seem to really catch on.
We tried playing the Storm of Magic one once, and it was just confusing, and it really came down to, does your army have awesome wizards? No, then sit this one out.
Well, that's the thing, too. I mean, you know, Magic is already pretty random and, you know, potentially game-changing, and now you're talking about ramping that up to 11. With
Never
super spells. Yeah.
Yeah. I still want to get a copy of Triumph and Treachery, because I've heard that's a lot of fun, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet.
Which one's that one?
That's the one where
That's the one for multiple players.
Yeah.
Is it where you have cards and stuff? I think I played one game of that.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just, the way it's been described by other folks, it sounds like it's right down my alley. I just haven't had the opportunity to give it a go.
I haven't played it, but from the few like battle reports I've seen, I like the random activation that they did for the turns to make it
So that you never know whose turn is going to be up next.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's per phase as well. So it's kind of like, just because you moved over here doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to get to, you know, you're not going to get that charge necessarily because somebody else may go before you.
Yeah. I mean, for us now, because, I mean, Alicia doesn't have the time to play very often. Our group is just 3 guys. So it would be kind of nice to actually have some game opportunities for us to just sit down and all play at once together.
I mean, you can always just do like a team game as well, but the Triumph and Treachery, it's nice to have a little bit of extra rules.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're doing this week, provided that the Muppet Man gets to me in time so we can do it as a narrative. Tuesday, I'm taking 2,500 points of Ogres, Skip's taking 2,500 points of Bretonia, and we're facing off against Michael playing 5,000 points of Chaos Legion.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've normally just played them like smaller, like, you know, 1,000 or 1,500 per person.
Nah. If we're going to go, man, let's go. Let's play it. We're probably going to get stomped because, I mean, you figure with the way we're doing that, he could have up to 2,500 points of lords or heroes. Just be like, this is my army of demon princes. Suck it, you guys.
Are you using the actual alliance rules from the book?
No. Well, we probably do by default, but not on purpose.
Well, what I'm saying is because because the way that like you have to split magic dice and whatnot.
Yeah. No, I don't think we do that typically. I think we usually do it as whoever needs the dice. But to be honest, what we usually do when we do this is because my ogres can frankly operate without magical buffs, I'll probably just tell Skip I'm not even going to bother to take any wizards, and he can load up and get all the magic dice, and I'll just take extra points in bruisers and beat sticks.
Yeah, because I actually had that problem. I played in a team tournament, and it was my Dark Elves, and my friend had Lizard Men. And since we are not on the same, it's order and destruction, it's like by the book you're required to split the dice evenly and stuff like that. So it's like, I was like, you have to take a wizard or we're throwing away half the dice.
Yeah. Well, and two, like with the Dark Elves, they have that distrust or untrustworthy rule, where even if you're playing with another order of destruction guy, you're randomly going to start hating each other. It's like,
yeah,
really, are the Skaven and the Dark Elves really that awesome that you got to dick them over in a team game like that?
No, it basically just means that it'll be the same as if they were teamed up with High Elves. You'll get that thing where they split the dice evenly. They can't use each other's BSB, that sort of thing.
Well, and it eventually gets to the point where they treat each other like for spell results and stuff. They treat each other's units like foes instead of allies. So you end up not being able to buff each other and
It's the same as if you were doing Dark Elves and Lizard Men. You can't buff each other. You can't dispel things that only target the other guy, that sort of thing.
Yeah. No, for the most part, we don't play with those kind of rules, mainly because it's just more shit to remember. It's and usually for us, because we're coming up with fluff reasons for these team-ups anyway, the need to kind of refluff it to match the GW fluff isn't really as crucial as it might otherwise be for us.
Right.
But yeah, I'm kind of nervous what Michael is going to come up with, because he's got his beastmen that he's going to use. I've also opened up my entire demon army and Warriors of Chaos army for him to use too. So he could be coming and bringing some busted shit.
I saw that video that Skaven and AZ had where he went up against a Demon Legion, and it actually seemed like in that scenario, Doom Bulls are actually a pretty good choice.
Yeah. I mean, I've faced them just in normal games, and if they can get into combat, they are no joke. And God knows if you've got enough points to hide them in a decent enough unit of Minotaurs until it's business time, they can mess your shit up pretty casually.
Well, and you even have more options with all three of those combined, because there are you can put them in with trolls, you can put them in with other things that are going to give them lookout sirs.
Yeah. This could either be a really awesome game or it could be over in like a turn and a half. Luckily, I don't have any Nurgle demon princes that he could use right now. Otherwise, it would be like, here's my 6 demon princes of death flying over and just, oh, there go your ogres. Sorry about that. I don't know. It's liable to be cool. We'll just have to see what direction it goes. But I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long time since we've done just a big, ridiculous-sized game. I think the last one we did, it was a 6-player game. I want to say each of us had 2,000 points.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah. Well, it was like, and it didn't help too, because like we were order versus destruction. So on the order side, we had Skaven, orcs, and goblins, and vamp counts. So the model count on one side of the table was just absolutely ridiculous, and then on the other side it was what was it? Bretonia, dwarves, and wood elves. Yeah, so it was like they had a quarter of the models we did.
Do you use Magic Terrain when it comes to those big games?
Absolutely. We roll every game we ever play. We roll up terrain as per the book.
I noticed you're like the only battle report. If maybe everybody else doesn't report on it, but you're the only one that I noticed uses Magic Terrain.
We are pretty much the only one.
Okay. I wonder if common or not.
If you can sit through them, just because they actually play the entire game and they're like 2.5 hours. But mini wargaming, their battle reports they use terrain as well. I mean they roll up for different forests and different rivers and things.
Do you think the other reporters are using Magic Terrain, or do you think they just don't report on it? Do they not report on it, or are they not using it?
I don't think they're using it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they're using it. It doesn't seem popular in tournaments either, so that's probably why they're not used to it.
Luke Davis occasionally uses it, but I know for certain he doesn't roll up on the tables. They like pick a couple and just throw them on the table. With us, because we roll on the table, I mean, Magic Terrain far outweighs the normal stuff with just the way it seems to come up on the damn board. But I like it. I think it adds a great deal to the game when you have those kind of extra little speed bumps in your plan, I guess would be the best.
Yeah.
Best way to put it.
I do agree, and I like it. Although it did surprise me a little bit, only because you structure everything else to the narrative, and then the terrain is more or less random.
Well, not always, because there's to a certain degree there are things that we do as far as determining terrain. That fits in the narrative, and even picking scenarios. If there are certain things that it's like, well, you know, this is X person attacking this undefended force here, we're going to more likely use dawn attack or something like that. And there have been a few times where we've just been like, it makes no sense for this result to occur on the table, so let's pick this other one instead. I mean, it's...
Because there's army specific terrain. You know, you've got like Nehekaran statues and.
Mm-hmm. Now we usually put the Nehekaran Sphinx in just because I think we like it, but if it comes up, it usually goes in.
I've heard your group say they don't like rivers, and I happen to love rivers. I always try to bring rivers. I don't have enough terrain to represent everything. But we usually have like a river and a forest, a couple forests.
Well, let me clarify that, because it's not that we don't like rivers. It's that specifically the River of Light has gone out of its way to fuck Michael so many times that he literally starts twitching when a river rolls up on the board. It's really kind of funny. Goodness gracious. This is crappy. It's gonna make this hard to do. But like for the most part, the rivers aren't usually a big thing. Yeah, they make marching a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it's really the random like, let me get Briona's time warp off when I'm in the middle of a charge thing that has caused more trouble than anything else. And that's why Michael he goes off on rants on it when that particular item shows its face. But I don't think it's any worse than like the Sorcerer's Portal, because that's constantly screwing me over. Like, fireball. Oh, my opponent's close to it? Go ahead and give him Wissons, because that's what he needs.
Have you noticed that if you roll a certain amount of certain terrain more than usual, I always get the Fear Forest.
For us, it tends to be the River of Light, actually. That tends to show up more than anything. The Dwarven Brewhouse shows up with alarming regularity.
And the freaking Sorcerer's Portal.
Yeah, and the freaking Sorcerer's Portal. Those are probably the three that show up more often than anything. I'm going to need more War Boss Green.
What about you, Nick?
The store that I play at often, they usually just do kind of random terrain. We don't roll it up. They just kind of grab a bunch of terrain and then just sort of throw it on the table and say, okay, that looks good.
See, I think that's a shame. There's just so much potential.
Well, also the where I go, it's really more of a 40K group of people. So they don't tend to be, as fantasy centric, and I don't think 40K has the same kind of weird terrain that Warhammer can have.
Well, all 40K cares about for the terrain is, does it block line of sight or does it give you a save? I mean, That's pretty much it. So.
You ever put together flamers? I just realized these are really complicated.
No, actually, they're on my Christmas list. I'm hoping to get about 6 of them for Christmas, but
the Zinch flamers.
Yeah, I just realized I should have kept the paperwork.
Well, the problem is they look the same no matter which way you turn them, so it's kind of hard to see them heads or tails.
But it is surprising that these models are fairly complicated. I mean, like even these Doomfire Warlocks, there's like specific parts that go with specific parts.
Yeah.
Well, that's because the Doomfires come in a box that could be Doomfires or they could be Dark Riders.
Right.
And the horse bit is the exact same for both models. And then the top bit is different.
Right. And I haven't tried not following the rules, but I mean, they've got specific ones. They're like, use this arm with that arm and this head with this hair. So I don't know if they actually just are doing that for people who are anal, or if it really would make a difference.
In a lot of cases, it makes a difference. Particularly when it comes to try and rank crap up, because if you don't use the right arm on the right torso, it makes the arm and the weapon go off at a wonky ass angle, because there are just slight differences in sort of how the angles cut for the joints. So I'm one of those, they follow the instructions unless you're specifically converting something to look different, because you're going to buy yourself more headaches if you don't.
Right, but I mean, like the left arm that's just tucked in, holding the reins. They've all got separate numbers. Like they're like, use number 58 and not number 56. I don't know if they're just doing that because they didn't want to use the same number for all the rein arms or what.
Speaking from experience from somebody who's built 15 of them at this point, you can use whatever rope arm you want on whichever body. The only ones that really matter is the face and the hair combos, because of the way the Widow's Peak works. And as far as like the weapon arms go, you can use different weapon arms on different bodies. Just be aware of it when you're ranking them up as you're building them. Because when I build them, I don't glue them to the base until I'm ready to try and rank them together.
Okay, that makes sense.
The other cool thing that I found when I was building them is if you're really slick with it and are good with magnetizing stuff, you can magnetize the top half and you can have Doomfires and Dark Riders out of the same kit.
Oh, that's a pretty clever idea. I hadn't thought about that.
Saves you about half the money.
Yeah.
Alright. I'm going to have to stop messing with this and let these dry before I totally screw this up more than anything. Well, hell, it's 1:45. This may be actually as good a place as any to call it, gentlemen.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. I know there was a lot of people watching at one point, so if you were watching this and you didn't get the invite, it wasn't that I hate you or anything. It's just we've had so many really big paintisodes and whatnot with with a dozen people or so that I wanted to keep this one kind of low key. So no insult intended to anyone who did not receive an invite. It was more just these were the first folks I was thinking of for various reasons as I was making up the list. So as far as Nick, William, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
It was great. Nice to meet you, Nick.
You too.
And thanks for having me on.
No problem, William. Catch you guys later, all right?
All right.
All right. Good night.
Bye.